With the invocation and the pledge. God, we place our work and ourselves into your hands. Anoint our creativity, our ideas, our energy, so that even the smallest task may bring you honor. When we are challenged, guide us. When we're weary, energize us. May the work that we do and the way that we do it bring hope, life, and courage to all with whom we work. Bless our council with wisdom and discernment, and our employees with commitment and compassion. In your name, amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3 is public comments. We do sign up today since it's really a workshop, but so if anybody has public comments, now would be the time. None? Okay. Moving on, we're going to change the order of the agenda and go into executive session now so that we can meet with our attorney in the window of time that he's got available. We'll consider a personnel matter, and then when we come back, y'all are welcome to come back in and we'll do the budget workshop. All right. Okay, we're reconvening in open session. I'm not reading item number since we're out of order, but our next item would be to consider and take action resulting from executive session. There is none. So we will move on to item whatever. 7, new business, is the budget workshop for 2023 and 2024. All right, so the pink pages that y'all received today is is an updated version of the ones that we went over last workshop. And this has all of the summary pages and things that we just to work on specifically the line items that need to address the budget and not all of those repetitive summary pages. So what you'll see there is things that we know and have already plugged in, working numbers, like how much we expect electricity might go up, inflation rate, that sort of thing. And any other items that we know that there's something new coming, and our estimate of what that expense might be. We've also taken, sorry, let me get my little pile up. We've also taken some money and moved it into roads. I'm going to let Jennifer really walk through this because she's the expert and has worked on preparing this version for us, but I haven't received, other than the 3 items we talked about at our last session, I haven't received anything from council about items to add or items that needed adjustment in specific. So we'll go through the categories. If you have a question or something you want to talk about, let's talk about it. And by the time we leave, hopefully we have a draft budget that we can work on and be ready for the next stage. Okay? Ms. Jennifer, when you're ready, I'm going to turn it over to you.
So as expected, we have not received the certified appraisal roll from the county. Today was the deadline, but there's a 30-day variance, so I don't know. We have that. So you have to understand that when we're doing this rough budget, that what you have right here, this is not balanced. It's not balanced because we don't have, we've plugged and played. Right now, we are looking at a difference of $159,678 in the revenue, meaning we are up 100, so we have to find a way to expense in order to balance $159,000. That's just a rough estimate. But this is assuming that we take the no new revenue tax rate, which was presented to y'all at the last budget workshop. Basically what that means is that we would levy the exact same amount of tax revenue as we did last year, which was $499,999, and would bring the tax rate to 37 cents versus the 44 cents. So that you will see that starts, did I forget to print the revenue sheet? Did I forget to print the revenue sheet?
You want to send me, I'll go grab it?
Yeah.
Here, and I'll go get my face.
Hang on, I actually forgot to print that one. It's a different report.
So it's a difference of 7 cents per 100 valuation to the homeowner.
Reduction, I might have it right here, so just a copy.
You want me to copy it?
It's printed.
That's
No,
from
no,
the
no,
last one.
in the pink sheet, I forgot to print the revenue, so.
I was gonna say, it's
Yeah, so that number is printed. So basically what we're doing is we're using that sheet that you're looking at as a supplement to plug in the numbers into the budget and basically working backwards. So the way that we do it is we take what we think our estimated revenue value is called a levy, what that levy is gonna be for the year. And on the sheet, you'll see that that proposed number is $4,990.999. So we plug that into ad valorem revenue, and then we kind of work back from that. Now, we do have other sources of revenue, but our sales tax revenue is the highest amount of revenue. We do have our ad valorem, and that's less than that. So when she brings that in, we can kind of back up and go through the revenue. But if you look on page 5 of your pink sheets, it should be your very first page.
Yeah,
Your very first one. This is kind of walking through on the expense side.
Right.
And there are still some outstandings on here. For instance, I'm working with TML and TMRS. TML is our insurance. TMRS is our retirement. Both of those are privately funded corporations through Texas Municipal League. Both of those rates are going up. So we're on what we consider to be a small city plan. And they have changed that to where there's only 2 that we can choose from this year. And those rates are going up. We think it's going to be an estimated $30 a month, but we should have those by Friday. The deadline for them to have those numbers to us is by Friday. You will see such a significant increase on this under...
The second line in health insurance?
Yes, health insurance. The reason it's such a high increase is because I opted out of city insurance. So that's assuming that you replace my position, and then the next coming year, you're gonna have to pay that person health insurance. So basically what we did was we, just for a placeholder at this time until we get those firm numbers on Friday, is we took last year's health rate numbers at $8,800 an employee, $8,819 to be exact, per employee, and we just doubled those for two full part-time positions. On TMRS, we had talked about it, I do believe 2 meetings ago, they have gone to a new COLA plan, which COLA stands for cost of living. The COLA plan, now the state is making it mandatory because there's such an increased number of people retiring from government in the state of Texas that they have gone in and they are actually adding in a percentage each year for that TMRS COLA to cover some of those retirement deficits throughout the state. So we don't, again, Friday is when we're supposed to have that number. We don't know. We figuratively put in 4%, a 4% increase to that for next year. That could be 2%, that could be 10%. We will not know. Lori, I've gone over all of the initial paperwork with Lori on what that plan is gonna look like. It's not clear. It's very confusing, but we're waiting to get those numbers. So if we're just, how do y'all want to go through it? Do you just want to go down from top to bottom? Start with
Let's just go top to bottom, and because it's easy then to say,
Sure.
do you have a question about technology for general? Do you have a question about?
So
And if you don't, you don't have to.
Right.
We'll just go right through it.
So liability insurance is with TML. That's the insurance that covers all of our liabilities with our council. It bonds your employees. It covers your volunteers. That's a standard rate through TML. They basically do an annual audit and they give us a number. That number has been within $30 to $40 for the past 5 years. Health insurance, we covered that. Technology under administration, we've kind of briefly gone over technology. Technology is basically what runs the city. Cities are now governed by a new cybersecurity federal law, so we are required to have particular firewalls and servers and protectionary programs, anti-spyware. And I will say technology is very important to us because our city has been hacked. Our website's been hacked, our email's been hacked, our server's been hacked, and we have spent a ton of money repairing those problems. So technology is very important to us. We do have an internal IT company that we've used for 4 years, Impress Computers. They're out of Katy. They're fabulous. They do monthly reports and quarterly health reports on all of our information right now to make sure that everything is buttoned up and kept tight and safe. So that's what technology is.
Got a question.
Yes.
Sorry, not to interrupt you. You have technology in 3 different funds.
We do.
Is that because those monies can only be used for those specific?
No, it's because, well, yes and
lines of
no.
technology?
Yes and no. So you'll find technology under emergency management. There are specific technology features that we only use for emergency management. So like our Nixle system. We expense our Nixle system under emergency management because it's considered emergency communication. So it helps us break out specifically what kind of, like we talked about last time, we have these different buckets, there are departments. So it helps us visually see, what expenses are coming out of what particular department. So our general technology, our server, our firewall, our IT service, our Adobe subscriptions, our Dropbox subscriptions, our Microsoft subscriptions, because we're required to have a specific type of Microsoft account. Anything that is like general technology is going to fall under administration. When it starts getting more specific, like our NOAA apps, our Nixle systems, things like that, then we start departmentalizing that just because it's a neater layout. It helps us understand a little bit easier viewpoint when those are put into specific departments.
And where your
About
expenses really
$38,000
belong.
a year worth of technology, right? That we're,
Yeah.
okay.
So we've got hotspots, and keep in mind, we pay $800 a month for fiber internet, and our fiber internet is not reliable. So we also have a backup internet source, and when I say it's not reliable, we've been left here at City Hall without communication. We've actually had to drive to Wallace to be able to get connection and communication. If Lori, Eric, and I are here at the office, even on the fiber system that we have, it's so unreliable. Us 3 cannot be on Teams or Zoom calls all at the same time because they will all buffer. Our internet connection cannot handle it. So the concern here is, in an emergency, and Justin can attest to this, and Lori, in an emergency, we've got 10 computers up here going, we're 24/7, we have to be able to communicate. The last flood that we had 10 working computers and we all had individual hotspots. And they brought out, AT&T provided us a CAL, which is like an emergency booster for this facility through a truck. So yeah, and it is an issue, we know that, but we're also working with the county on a broadband project that would bring in a more reliable fiber service. It would allow us to eliminate a lot of that, but until that happens, we have to have the sustainability of that connection through internet and phone service. And that was one of the things that Lori and I talked about, like our phone service. That can probably be cut in half, but until we get a reliable broadband system, we're still, we're on a very antiquated system.
AT&T's a provider, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And what about Starlink?
Starlink is one of our backups, satellite, but unfortunately, if you're in a rainstorm, Starlink doesn't work. But when AT&T,
Knowledge today.
Like today.
yeah, but when AT&T doesn't work, Starlink's our backup. And that's one of the downfalls to government now, is that everything runs on technology. We want to communicate with the county, we're on Teams calls. It's just kind of the nature of the beast.
Okay, that answers my question. Just curious.
The next,
I had a question. Under, I was looking at the May receipts and stuff, and it has DirecTV as technology. Why do we have DirecTV?
because during a storm, and it's a communication source that we use,
Doesn't it go down?
Huh?
Doesn't mine go
Actually,
down in a storm?
Actually,
every
ours didn't.
storm? Today?
Ours didn't.
Well, even post-storm, when we're watching newscasts and those kinds of things, looking for press releases and stuff, so it's even after the storm.
Does anybody have questions about things like office supply, copying, print, mileage? I know we talked about community outreach recently. We could go to payroll because there's a change listed there.
I have a question about office supply. Of course, I know all these different ones are broken out, but I had requested the Amazon receipts. And every single one of those, or even though the majority of them are office supplies on there, they're all listed under miscellaneous. I don't understand why.
Well, there's really nothing to understand, and we explained that in the last meeting, we're still in the process of coding stuff. We've transitioned to a new finance system with 2 full-time employees. It's been very hard to stay on top of stuff and get it in, as quickly as you want it, so we are actually working to go in and recode those, and we explained that when we gave that here's the report with the actual expenditures, that some of those will be recoded to office supplies or et cetera.
Because it would seem like right now they're not going under the correct.
That's what I just said. We're in the process of reclassifying them to office supply.
How long has that been going on? How long does it take? We're going off of a.
Well, to be honest, we've asked you to come up to City Hall several times and sit with us so we can show you. I'd love to be able to show you how long it does take, because when we have the stuff that we have going on, if you want me to stop the audit, I'll stop the audit, because I worked 13 hours Saturday and Sunday up here on the audit. If you want me to stop that, I can come up here and get that.
You know what, I have a full-time job too, so I just asked you why, and I wanted to know how long, because I've been told that we had to get off a QuickBooks system, which for the size of the city, QuickBooks seems fine.
QuickBooks isn't secure for every
QuickBooks
government.
isn't secure.
What are we going to? But there's a lot of cities use QuickBooks though.
And they've been told not to, because it doesn't account for fund accounting.
What's the name of the?
It's FundView. FundView. It's a government finance.
How do you say that?
FundView.
Okay.
It's a governmental finance program. QuickBooks is not a secure finance system for government.
It was
I just know a lot of
like page 10 or
So
something.
does it-
I didn't know they all been told not to.
So does it does the new one meet the cybersecurity requirements that are being?
It does.
that
It
are
also
output by-
goes into fund, it actually goes into fund accounting. If you go back and you pull our old budgets, through QuickBooks integrates that into an Excel program. So, it can be manipulated, it can be changed. It's also not fund accounting. It's not set up into departments and funds like this. That's why if you go back and pull old budget and you compare those to these, they look incredibly different.
So you can go to departments
Correct.
and individual accounts
Right.
and how you break them
It
out.
also means that there is a process, a laborious process for reclassifying something or entering, like Julie lives this world and has been catching up old things and helping us reclassify things since she got here, and it's a lot. So it's intentional that it's not, I can't just go in and manipulate it, not one person can do that, so that's part of the security feature.
I was just wondering, as I went through I went through all of the Amazon purchases, and I had a lot of questions as to certain of why, there's just a lot there's some things on here I really have questions about.
Well, if it's office supplies or in these categories,
Yeah.
like share,
But they're all under miscellaneous, which that's been explained that it's because of that. But I don't know why under this, there's an awful lot of purchases that are like, I was wondering why the city purchased so much OxyClean, so much
Because
laundry
my office has
detergent.
been flooding for the last, 2 years? So instead of hiring a professional carpet cleaner, I've been doing it myself.
60 pounds of
Yeah, we get it in a
OxyClean and
bucket.
36 pounds
Yeah,
of
we
laundry
get it in a bucket.
detergent. That's
I
an
mean,
awful lot.
they're here, they see it, we get it in a bucket.
It's just,
It's
you know,
cheaper than buying retail, and one of the things is that our Amazon, I'm gonna say this wrong, so probably y'all should say it, but our Amazon account is part of, or has the same methodology as the government
Governmental bid.
pre-bid.
protocol. Mhm.
Say it, Jennifer, because I'm gonna get.
It's a governmental bid package, like buy board, tips, so we get governmental pricing that's pre-bid through the state.
And then set up in an easy online form where you
So
can
if we
just
have
order.
if we have an emergency, a declared emergency, we can log on to our governmental site and we can purchase stuff, it's pre-bid through the state, and it's the pre-bid FEMA price.
It's all in the
Right.
So if I log on and try to buy the same item, I don't get the
It's a
same
different
price
price.
that the city gets. So part of it is we buy things that are like, I don't know if I would have bought that from Amazon. That's why, because they've participated in that program and make it so much easier.
well, the ones that I logged on and looked at, like jewelry pliers, an 8-piece set,
That's for the roundup.
yeah, 9-piece math geometry set, those were all the same. Rubber mallet.
For the first two I know were for the Simonton Roundup, for the kids' table, which is what the city sponsors.
Okay,
Here's your pliers set you're asking about right here. We use it for roundup.
that's what they said. Just seems like there's an awful lot of purchases. And I was wondering, when people purchase things on Amazon, do they have to, what accountability is there?
We're
If
an
they
office of 3.
I guess because there just hasn't been any oversight by council on finances and monthly bills in
part
almost
of
5
having-
years. And so I think it's always good to have accountability.
Part of it is, part of this decision process has been, we have a city administrator, and we hired a city administrator in order to have a professional person manage that. Because having a volunteer mayor who works full-time, when we're on this growth process, whether we want to be or not, or if we want to be in control of it, council agreed, and so when I started, our game plan was to make sure that we weren't missing opportunities for grants or for what we need to be planning for growth, all the things. One of those is that you have a city administrator who then oversees all of those things. And you can look at, I could go in and look in a 3-ring binder anytime about what's being spent, but I didn't approve every single penny that was ever spent. But I could go look at it anytime, and so could council. And council, under advice of the attorney, never put it as, we have to approve every item that's ever purchased, because it's so laborious and slows down the work of the city getting done. We have, like we said, got new software, we got new visibility, we have new reports that you can see every month, the expenses that have been, the purchases that have been made, so that it becomes more, becomes easier for anybody to see at any time. And like we did last month, I have already promised that we would continue to have that monthly, so y'all can see what's being spent each month.
We do need to have some oversight. I just wondered why the budget amount for office supplies is so high. $72,800, that's an awful lot of office supplies.
72,000?
What number are you reading?
Yeah.
It says office supplies, $72,800.
It says office supplies 8,000.
I'm not sure what you're seeing, Dave.
General fund expense summary, I didn't make it up, Jennifer. It
It's a
says
summary,
70
Faith, it's a summary.
It says current, 72,800. Working, 2024, 72,000.
That's a summary, Faith. If you go to line item 100-10-5035, office supplies and postage, 8,000. So a summary means that it summarizes multiple, they're called line items, and gives you a summary.
So all the line items for all the different funds, all add up to 72,800?
Yes, it will take it and it will add, I gotta pull it up to find out exactly which ones are in there.
Wait, do you mind if I come over and show me which page? I don't want to feel like I'm standing over
It's that first
you.
page
It's
right
the
here.
first, it's the summary page.
Page one.
This one here.
So,
And this is the one that we had gotten last time.
So
That
office,
it says the year-to-date, and we'd already spent 50, almost 50%.
right, so office and supplies is different than office supplies. So
Right,
other
it's
office, roll into that and you're gonna make that number.
Right. Because I see, you know, like on
So
our
there's
the
the-
monthly bills, it says office supplies and postage. Which I know is different.
Yeah.
Even for all the departments, it seems like an awfully high.
It's not $78,000 for office supplies. So let me see.
Looks like it includes- doesn't it?
Did you see what page she's looking at, Jennifer?
yeah, it's
Summary
the
page.
summary page, yeah. So it's office and supplies, so what it does is because it summarizes it, it pulls in several of,
Page one.
it probably pulls in copy and printing, office supplies and postage, technology. It'll pull in several things that the computer system thinks is office and supplies. But then you go to your individual line item for 5035, office supply and postage, that's 8,000.
Does that make more sense? That it's 8,000 and not 72?
Well, I see office supplies and postage is 8,000, but the other still says
Because it's a summary page.
office and.
It's combining several things
Several
to
line
come up
items.
with the 72,000.
So there's not a summary page for technology?
Because technology is under office and supplies.
How do we know? But because technology has its own line item for 20,000.
Well, office supplies is its own line item.
So the summary is the group of all of the different departments and group together stuff that's used in the office, stuff that's used for building and grounds, stuff that's used for
So-
payroll, separated.
So the personnel number, what is that?
That's under legal, I think, that's under legal and, is that under legal?
Well, this one over
Oh,
here
payroll,
says,
so payroll and personnel.
Right.
You'll see payroll and personnel, that's your payroll numbers, your payroll taxes, your TMRS, your retirement, and your, the posting, the employee postings.
so those numbers don't add up.
What do you mean they don't add up?
It doesn't equal 276, 360, it's more like 300 and...
Yeah, because
Okay.
276 was last year.
Yeah, that was last year.
Okay.
In the pink, we've made some
Well, there's no
adjustments.
changes on this one, so that was...
No, that's
yeah.
why we're
Right.
using the pink,
I got
right?
it.
What about consulting? Why did it go down to 40?
Because you asked us to take the $200,000
Paying for was
comp plan out.
Okay.
How about the attorney's fees?
Well, we increased those to 75,000
Why?
because our attorney fees have gone up to an average of 5,000 to 6,000 a month, when in previous years we were less than 10,000 in a year.
Can I ask why?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons. We've had just an undue amount of open records requests. Counsel communicates with the attorney and doesn't communicate with us. That costs the city money every time you communicate with them.
People on this council.
Yes.
So y'all call the attorney instead of calling somebody here?
I called the attorney.
Because somebody here couldn't answer your question?
No, because I didn't have that information and thought I needed to go through him. It was basically on their contract somewhere. I didn't have copies, we weren't presented that back then, so I couldn't see it physically.
We haven't been billed over that yet. That was
No, we get billed monthly.
a month in a
So we have 30 days and I get billing through like July 31st, billing through, and it gets billed for every phone call, every email, every time, text message, anything that picks up, we get billed, regardless if it's 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, there's gonna be a line item that we would bill for that.
I just can't imagine that there's something that you would need to call the attorney about when the people here in this building could actually give you what you need.
There wasn't all of that. It was a lot of governmental code issues and things along those lines as well that
Again,
I was asking him.
the three ladies that work here couldn't give that to you?
No, not in my thoughts at the time. It was a simple question to Justin. I think most of my phone calls are about 4 minutes with him.
Most of your phone calls? Okay. But you do realize that costs the city money every time?
Yes, I do.
Okay. But you're so concerned about the money that's leaving the city, that to me seems to be counterintuitive.
I'm not sure what you're insinuating or what that has anything to do with going to line items at all.
What that summary includes.
We're going from $15,500 for 2023 in legal fees, to attorney fees, excuse me, to $75,000 for 2024. That is a huge, that's almost an 80% increase.
You're looking at me like that's because of me. It's not all because of me. That's also due to the fact that we're doing separation agreements and he's required to do all of our contracts and things like that, but you're looking at me like it's my fault and it's not.
Well, because
I've not signed a check.
You're the one that has,
not done a thing.
because you're the one that's speaking to me about it, that you have personally made phone calls to the
I'm
attorney.
not the only one.
For, I'm not saying you are. You're the only one that has said that you have. Okay?
Okay.
I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just saying that you're so concerned about the amount of money that's leaving here, but yet that seems to me like we're spending money that shouldn't be spent when there are three women that work in this building that are perfectly capable of giving you this information.
I
If
did
you
not
ask
set
for
this
it.
number, Kelly. She did.
For a
We're
reason.
setting the number based on.
That's based on her and we have the 100% opportunity to change that right now.
Okay,
I didn't
so
set that number.
the average since August, when we became a whole lot more litigious in here, our average is $5,000 a month. We've blown our budget from 2023 out of the water. We need to adjust it because $5,000 average is actually what we've been spending. Hopefully we could have money left because we don't spend it all. That would be great. We'll spend it on something else next year's budget. There is 10 or 15 that we included that would be for us to start zoning next year during this budget year, because we will have completed our comprehensive plan. So note to everybody, if you have a question, please call us and ask at City Hall, because if we can get it to you, it doesn't cost us extra money. If we don't know it or we can't give you what you need, you can always call Justin. But good point about saving money where we can.
Notices of public hearing, I assume that's what that is?
Yes, so
Yes.
notice of public hearing, we do know that we're gonna have 2 required public hearings, for the comprehensive plan and zoning. So we just did a placeholder estimate for that.
I'm sorry, for what? Is that,
The comprehensive plan and zoning. So the comp plan will come first, zoning will come second.
I had a question about subscriptions. Why do we have 12 Apple iTunes subscriptions?
Because we have 4 different phones on our city account that have required apps that we have to use.
Why, I just don't understand why we would need 12 of them.
Well, we have 4 different phones, so we can kind of do the math there of how we get to 12 different subscriptions. We have a NOAA weather app that we use that connects with the county. We have a Canva app, we have a Landglide app, and then we have our Dropbox storage app.
Any other questions on, I'm gonna say page 1, but I know it's numbered page 5. This first page, any other questions?
Also,
Or-
on the third from the bottom, election cost. Last year, we budgeted 6,700, and then after budget cycle started, the county increased their election costs, so the elections have gone up. We do have an election next year, so that's just, it reflects in this budget, because they changed the fee after budget was set last year.
How often do they change that usually? Is it every few
Very
years?
often.
It's not, honestly, our
It's been-
old
it's been
rate
67
had been the
for a
same
long
rate
time.
for a really long time. Like,
As long as I've been here.
All right. And for the next page is administration with the transfers to EDC. Those are set. That's not something that we adjust. Legally, the percentages are set of how much goes, how much percent goes from. The next page, which is number 7, but it's the 3rd page in our packet, is emergency management. Any questions or items to discuss on emergency?
So incident response, we have an annual contract with Garner. Basically, they're the ones that provide our pumps, our hoses,
Lighting,
yes,
services,
lighting,
setup.
delivery, setup, porta potties. This is just a standard placeholder number that we put in here every year. When we have had to use that, this number is 3 times that amount, but we've had several years in between there where we haven't used it, so the money just floats back into our ICS account and essentially becomes our reserve.
Except for most of those services, from what I've experienced and seen, have more than doubled or tripled.
They have, and again, those fees those are not negotiable fees. When we enter into that contract with Garner, we enter into that contract under the federally approved FEMA rate. So when we engage in those services, it's a benefit for us because we don't have to negotiate them, but when an emergency is federally declared and we have to do our FEMA paperwork for reimbursement, those are the fees that are already set by the federal government for reimbursables.
Has that changed recently?
It
Have they
did, it
gone up
changed 2 years ago.
to these?
They updated, yeah. And so again, this 30,000 has been, that has just kind of floated there for the last couple of years because it's a placeholder. But when if we do have to go in and there's an emergency and it's 100,000, and we know that, we wait for declarables and what we'll be able to receive from declarables, and then we'll come back and then we'll make a mid-year budget adjustment to accommodate that number.
We also, the years that we don't use it, I know you just heard Jennifer say that the money, if we don't use it, it goes into reserve, and we hold that. We've talked some previously about why is there so much money in this account? Because of years like 2016, when we deployed twice, in 2017, so back to back, we had 3 events with deployments. So we might have spent, don't hold me to it because I'm not looking at the exact numbers, but you could spend $90,000 or 100 per incident. So we spent 300 grand in 2 years, and then we didn't spend any for 10 years. So, just, if I'm being repetitive, y'all just tell me you already know.
My question is that enough with the way stuff has gone up? Because if it's not declared emergency, then we pay the rates, correct?
That is correct. So in 2018, we spent a substantial amount of money, and that was not a federally or a state declared emergency. It was a localized river event with us, but we spent a substantial amount of money, and that was out of pocket, and we only deployed the pumps for, I think, 9 days, but 9 days is as good as 14 days when you're dealing with these emergency management contract companies. It doesn't matter, it goes on a week. So you can, 1 day is 7 days, 9 days is 14 days. That's just the way that it works. But I will say we have a great relationship with Garner, in that Lawrence calls us and keeps us, I mean, we're top on the radar because he knows how quickly we have to mobilize here. The last time we were here at 3 o'clock in the morning, Jake Davis had his tow truck. We had, they met us, they came all the way from Beaumont, they met us, we were deployed and ready to go in 3 hours, and we had pumps when Fulshire and other cities couldn't find them. But, again, that was one of those things where we had to come into council, approve expenses because it was not reimbursable from the state or FEMA, and that was just an expense for us. Now, I will say, when you say is that it's not enough, I personally, in my professional opinion, I wouldn't change this number because if it's not reimbursable, you're gonna be coming back to council and asking for a mid-year budget year adjustment anyways. You know, we could be, knock on wood, fortunate to go this year and not touch that 30,000. So
Right.
then it, you know, it rolls back. So I think it's a safe, yeah, it's safe to hold it there for now. So in office and supplies, Faith, under your summary, it's technology, office supplies and postage, copy and printing, apparel and promotion, and notices of public hearings. Payroll and personnel is mileage reimbursement, payroll tax expenses, retirement, human resource costs, and travel and training.
Could we get a list of those, please?
You can print that out.
This is after July 31st, but we need to
I think what they're asking for is just what
Just to break
categories
down.
belong under which headings.
I don't
But
remember.
Joe,
Yes.
fit into the summarization.
There,
Yeah.
no, she can pull it in the budget thing, it's
I
just, it's
know,
one of
that's-
those drop-down things.
That's where I was.
Yeah.
So let me just print this.
Yeah.
Just
Do we have anything else on emergency management?
I do wanna bring something up because it's gonna be repetitive in each department. We do have a capital improvement line item, and then we have a maintenance and operation. And when you get to facilities, you have a building facilities. There's a distinct difference there. A capital improvement is a project that you expend on one project in 1 year. So this roof, capital improvement project. We're not re-roofing every year, so it's not gonna come out of maintenance and operations. It's not gonna come out of building facility. You know, some cities opt to repaint their lobby every year, so we put in painting. That would be maintenance and operations. So when we put this money in here, this capital improvement, especially for emergency, and Justin can probably speak more on this, you know, we do have a lot of high ticket items, meaning if it's over $5,000, high ticket items that are a one-time purchase that typically have a lifespan of over 10 years, typically. So for instance, we're looking at a project with, we've been trying to quote out our hoses that are in the parking lot require a specific trailer. They're not even on the correct type of trailer right now, so we're gonna have to be purchasing. Right, we're gonna have to be purchasing a new trailer. So because that trailer has an expected lifespan of over 10 years, it would fall under a capital outlay program because it's a one-time expense. So you will see that repeat itself from emergency management facilities to the different departments, just what are, you know, the differences between those.
Thank you.
Which, by the way, since I brought up the roofing, they finished the roof on Friday, and it is fantastic. The roof was in a much worse condition than what we thought. It did not leak
It was dry in
today.
here today.
And one thing that they actually did that we didn't even realize that they didn't have, which I don't know if you drive up to City Hall, you will notice our roof now has a pitch on it. They put a center pitch level. Did not have a center pitch level before. So that was part of why it was leaking so bad. When they pulled the tin off, you can see it is still on the side of the building. It is, the center of the tin that was down the middle is almost completely rusted all the way through. Yeah. They did a fantastic job.
That was great.
Also in emergency management, Justin's been, in addition to the trailer, we need to replace 6 hoses for the pumps, so
Yeah, I put
we've
that in
been
the capital.
getting quotes on that too.
Yeah, they're a safety issue now. Just rotted through and they're gonna bust and kill somebody or hurt somebody.
And I think Jay was getting a, wasn't there some maintenance stuff that had to be done on one of the pumps?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's real minor though. It's
Like skate can do it?
I don't know if ski can do, but it's minor, whatever it is.
And when, like, we put flood pump, the flood pump hoses on here, we,
We have 16 houses.
16 hoses. Previously, they were housed across the river at the U-Haul location on the other side of the river. They sat over there for multiple years at a time and were not covered, so they have been dry rot out. And they've kind of outlived their expectancy, to be quite honest. But when we talk about replacing, they're like, they're in the thousands of dollars a hose.
Yeah, they run about 1,000 to 1,200 each.
Depending on the diameter.
That's an FYI.
And
And
it'll
also-
be much better when we have the garage for the ARPA, because the UV rays make them.
Breaks down the natural rubber.
All right, next page is public safety. Jennifer, any comments or council,
This
any
one really,
questions?
technology covers the flock cameras, and it also covers, last year during budget cycle, we had talked about getting a radar trailer, like a temporary radar trailer, and honestly, we have kind of put that on hold because we're still dealing with TxDOT and what that interchange difference is gonna look at, but guys, we had 2 fatalities outside of Anthony's, and getting TxDOT to respond to us on changing the speed limit or stop signs, stoplights, something on there was almost impossible, because their response to us was, we don't have enough definitive deaths on that road to make a change. So I utilized one of my contacts at the county and actually got a radar trailer out there, and it was alarming what data was collected there, speeds and traffic counts of what's going on. We were getting as much traffic counts here as some of the Fulshire intersections were getting, and a lot of it was 18-wheeler traffic. So we met and we've had several conversations with City of Fulshire, Sheriff's Office, Constable's Office about getting a radar sign to put out like the ones you see in Fulshire, just for precautionary purposes. That there is proven fact that they do work, but after we budgeted that and we had those conversations, we wanted to wait a little bit until we knew what the timeline was going to be on this whole new TxDOT interchange. It just didn't make sense. So I recommend keeping that in there. It's up to y'all if you think that's important or not. But that's what that was.
The collection of data, although I don't know how much weight they gave it since it wasn't their own collection, but they did include it in helping make a decision to include our intersection project potentially in a safety need, a public safety, while there's grant money for that. So that contract is still not signed, but
If we could take a look at removing the flock cameras and put this money towards something in maybe in front of Anthony's or whatever the case may be, we can't really monitor the flock cameras anyway. They were not supposed to be in Valley Lodge where they are anyway. And I mean, I think the money would be better spent on something that can be monitored and possibly save a life as opposed to something that really can't be monitored unless, it doesn't help. It doesn't seem to help anyway.
well, Flock has just been such a disappointment. The process at Flock has definitely been just a nightmare executing it. So those cameras at Valley Lodge haven't cost us anything, they're free. We did that as we're sorry that this has turned into a long process. We haven't ever done a city of your size with no police department. Sort of a gratis thing that they gave us. So just, don't worry, we haven't spent money.
She just said that
If you-
14,000 was
We
flock.
budgeted for it.
We budgeted for it
Because
last
we were expecting it should have been installed a year ago and we would have to pay for it. So just assuring you, that one hasn't cost us anything. If you want to withdraw from that program, it does tie to the sheriff's office. They would use it in conjunction with the Fulsher cameras and whoever else might be on other ends of us if they need it. But to this point, we haven't been participating so far, so that would be
I will
council's
say
decision if
Erica
you
can
want
speak
do
more
that.
to it. We have caught several people in Valley Lodge with the thefts and the car break-ins. We have caught them and they have been prosecuted, and some of them have been repeat offenders, some of them have been juveniles. It has, we've seen the system work. Has it been frustrating? Absolutely, I'm not gonna deny that.
I would
think
also
money
think
would be
that
first.
if something, let's just say the horrific incident that happened in front of Anthony's last year, those cameras would actually pick that up and be able to
Well, that's where the
help.
permanent one is supposed to go.
Yeah.
Supposed to go.
Mhm. So I've always been for the flock cameras, but I mean, that's me
And the ones that
personally.
were budgeted are like peripheral, like city peripheral. They're not internal, like Lori said. That was kind of a consolation prize, like we really dropped the ball, so we're gonna throw them over here because that's your most requested area. You would be surprised how many call-ins there have been in Valley Lodge lately. With thefts, suspicious vehicles, there's been quite a few. And, you know, they've served their purpose. Has the execution process to get the permanent cameras been great? No, it hasn't. They've dropped the ball. But I think that they do serve their purpose, and they link in with other, you know, agencies surrounding us.
What portion of the budget is for the flock
The
cameras?
technology under
All
public
of it?
safety, yeah.
Okay.
And that's for 5 cameras? 5 cameras. 5 or 6, I have to go back and look.
It's for 5.
I think it's 5. Pretty sure. We can verify, but
Yeah.
the contract that we signed
And the
specifies
holdup-
how many it is and where they go.
Yeah, and just so y'all know, the holdup is TxDOT changed their requirement process. So the holdup has been with TxDOT. DPS has released our files to TxDOT, and we're waiting on the final approval from TxDOT. It's not just us. Fulsher, Felix over at Fulsher has been working hand in hand with us. Fulsher last year approved 36 new cameras, and they're on the same timeline as us, waiting to get them installed. So it's not just us. They're actually, Fulsher has actually become our parent organization. Since we don't have law enforcement here, they had to kind of sign on as our parent organization, secondarily with the sheriff's office. But Lori's been on them.
I'll just go ahead and say yes. Look, I'm making a note of flock and the dollar amount on my sheet. We can, if y'all want to say whether you want to move it now or if you want to
If it hasn't, I mean, if we
Add
haven't
something in a
spent it,
minute.
I'm just saying it would be better well spent on cameras, to your suggestion, at those locations or
And we
corners
have
or
that in
something,
here.
so that things like that are caught.
Any more questions on public safety? Facilities?
Well, Jennifer, we've got a change in building improvement, a reduction. I don't remember what we said that was.
We lowered it just because some of that stuff was going to be covered with the ARPA project, yeah.
And then with electricity, streetlights.
And let me just really, before you move on really quickly, let me just tell y'all, we are waiting to get a bid back, but we are literally pinching every single day, and I know I brought this up to y'all before, on our AC units. So that is most likely going to be an expense in the coming budget year, so that would be equipment replacement and or building improvement, one or the other. You can put it in either one, but we are collecting bids right now, you know, for what that would look like. We might have to go out to public, well, we won't have to go out to public bid, but we have to get, because it's less than 50, but we will have to get 3 bids, and we're doing that. We're doing the due diligence on that, just so that we have that pricing.
Yeah. That's a great thing to do, appreciate that. Those are the line items for it.
The street light line item, is that just for the street lights here, or the?
Yeah, and in the entire city.
Okay.
So 1093,
Those are actual streetlights, not our parking lot
Yeah.
lights.
Right, okay, so, but then on the LMP residential versus LMP commercial, what is that?
license and permitting, so.
Okay,
Like,
makes sense.
yeah, residential permitting and commercial permit, and I'll be completely honest, those, Eric and I have to, basically, that is a function of, we have to sit down and look at what we've calculated and accumulated the last year and just make the most educated professional guess for the year going forward. Sometimes it's easy for us if we know that there is commercial, that there's a lot of commercial building coming, or we know that somebody is gonna be, you know, if Twinwood's going to be building A, B, and C. Then we can kind of, we've been pretty spot on every year with those numbers. We've been off by a very small amount. But this year, I don't know, we don't know. And I
So
think
why
the
is it
tech stuff.
costing us money?
So we have to expense engineering fees and Bureau Veritas, like we have different fees that we have to expense out, but we make it up on the revenue side. So it basically becomes a wash. So when somebody comes in and pulls,
Charging.
right, somebody comes in and pulls a permit and we charge them $20. It may cost the city 19 or 9, I mean, that's not a
So
cost center
so
for us.
basically those fees are covering like inspection fees and those things, plan review from Bureau Veritas, that kind of stuff.
Plan review from the engineer, so it washes out on the revenue, and you'll see that on the revenue side. Those two, you know, wash out each other. And so when I say it might cost the city $19.50, the permit is $20, because we've now gone through, we don't accept cash. I mean, we very rarely accept cash. We don't comfortable with doing cash. We did not have credit card processing until, 3 years ago? And so that was something that we had to build into that $19.50 for the $20 permit was the processing fee. And that comes from a governmental merchant service that does all of that processing. So we don't touch any of that, and it's protected under our cybersecurity insurance policy.
Okay, that's,
Sorry, I jumped ahead.
no, that's fine, that's on Public Works, but just, we can stay on that page, but did anybody have any last questions about facilities? We're good?
You didn't make a note on AC on that.
I did.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Anything else on Public Works?
Can you
Nobody's gonna ask about road
explain
repairs?
this? Yeah,
Okay.
I'm asking.
So road
This is here
repair,
for a reason,
Yes,
so
yes.
it's not there.
okay, so let me pull road repair and explain.
So road repair, Jennifer, would go on Public Works.
Yes,
So it's not added because we hadn't discussed it yet, but you saw where she removed it. And I think it's the
Oh,
first
I'm
page,
sorry.
right?
Consulting.
No, it didn't
Under-
remove.
Under consulting,
Oh, gotcha.
yes, I removed it
Or
from
second
consulting, but I must have printed it before I added it back.
yeah,
so
I was
I'll
gonna
go
say,
ahead.
we talked through this so many times and reprinted it, so
I think
you
it's
can see
roads.
that under road repair, I think we would call that major, that's where you're gonna put
Yeah.
however much money we end up deciding you wanna dedicate to roads this year.
So I had kept 5,000 in under minor. So minor basically covers hot and cold patching. That's just a small job. We contact the county, we get on the list, and basically because of our interlocal agreement, we pay for materials, they provide the manpower. So we'll keep the 5,000 in minor, but in major road repair, we were moving the 200,000 from consulting and putting that under the major road repair. So I included in your packets the workup that we've done on road repair. Let me jump, I think it's the second and third page. Looks like this, it's two long lists. If we start here on the two long list, so what you'll see is this is a list of every road in the city. There are a few in here that are not in the city, but they're connectors or thoroughfares. So, just in case you see like Mullins, okay, well Mullins Road is not in the city, but, well, yeah, but the whole thing is not. So you'll see at the top, it says, one says total rebuild, and the other one says overlay only. So obviously total rebuild is mill down, use the same material and build the road back. The other one is just the overlay, and it's an asphalt overlay. So what we've done is we've gone through and we have given the actual length in feet and miles of every single road, and then Fort Bend County's cost. So this is the cost under our interlocal agreement. Their cost is $275,000 per mile for total rebuild and $125,000 per mile for overlay. And then they've taken the mileage needed by the cost to get the estimated cost. So use this as a reference sheet. The second part to that is I applied for a grant with HGAC. HGAC is the MITMOD grant. And we were awarded.
This is the page that starts with Lanford's logo at the top.
And just so that y'all have the documentation, Craig and I have been working on this for about a year because it's a very arduous process, and there's 2 rounds of funding. The first funding is what they call LMI, low to moderate income. We tried to meet the low to moderate income by Erica and I literally going around houses and using the consultant to get that low to moderate, and we did not get low to moderate. So we have to wait for the second round of funding to open up, which they call urgent need. So we are just, the grant is ready, it's prepared, it's written, it's packaged. We're just waiting until the state opens up that process for urgent need to process that through. But in that, what we plan to do is road repair and then the coordinating drainage on Wagon to accommodate a total rebuild on Wagon. There is a pretty substantial sized culvert and drainage system that is going to have to be completely rebuilt. And we've looked at doing it in the past, but the problem with doing the drainage before the road in the past was that we had to tear up the road to get to the drainage, so it didn't make sense. So we've waited and we've packaged it in here, correlating with the Wagon complete rebuild so that it's all a seamless process, and it's also easier for the county to get in and do that all at one time as well. So you will see in here that the first priority for that first round of funding for a little over $1 million is going to be the 2 streets are Wagon and Lariat, and then we have drainage for Custer, Indian, Tejas, Surrey, Fort Bend, and then the large one on Wagon. So that gives us a remaining fund balance of $259,280, which we've then put down into our second priority of overlay streets, which would be Lariat, Wrangler, and that still gives us a remaining fund balance of $148,000. So we've gone through and we have prioritized on a third level on this sheet and have identified Buckboard, Calvary, Custer, and Hondo.
I think it's Canyon, ma'am, instead of Calvary. So if you go back to the first page of the new packet, I think, which I think should match what you're talking about.
Oh, no.
We put the summary there.
This is the third priority.
But we picked them, Craig recommended them for us to, for 2023, 24.
So that is what would be covered in the...
Did you say there was a different road here?
On the list is Canyon. She was saying Calvary, but Canyon is the one that, Craig is recommending.
So that would cover, that would utilize all of the funding that I've gotten for grant. So then what Craig Craig and I are working on right now is going in, that if we allocate $200,000 for major road repair, that's $200,000 in addition to what we've already committed here. So that's a pretty substantial amount of.
So that section on the very front cover page on the pink that says the 23-24 general fund request, we just went with the assumption that we were talking about $200,000. We decided to do something different with the budget and say we want to spend $210, $230, $250, whatever that number is.
We just need to know.
Then we go to these pages and select what's the next priority. And actually what we do is have our city engineer do that, help us do that, and choose what makes the most sense to do next. The worst, the one to try and save so that we don't have to spend to do a total rebuild, and we go ahead and do an overlay now. You know, he's the one most qualified to help us decide that. The county will come out and agree or disagree, and if everybody agrees, then that's how we get this recommendation to you all of which ones to do in which order.
So question, on the back, on this third page, I guess it is, where you have taken out the remaining funds available, why has that not occurred on the front page, on the front plan?
Because
it says on hold, or contingency hold, excuse me.
Well, because
On
they
that line right
added,
there where it says remaining funds available 78.
That's what's left in the grant amount, and we just haven't identified what we're gonna use that 78 for. So that's what she was saying, we could go down here and we could move buckboard up in that grant amount to cover that 78, we just haven't done it, because, these also have to be approved, like, we have to send, like, the linear and the engineering with this project, and we haven't completed that yet, because we were still waiting on this urgent need thing, to open up. So, the reason that those are kind of like, look at it like alternates, like, those are alternates. If we decide we wanna put buckboard up there, we can pick buckboard up there, or we can pick Canyon and Custer for roughly 63,000 and put that up there, and it remains, that contingency
Still
amount.
underneath the 78.
Right. But also, we tend to hold a little bit of contingency back when we do this road stuff, because there have been times where we've done road repair, and during the process of doing the road repair, there's been something subsequently that has happened, or there's been a drainage issue that has popped up at the same time that we've had to correct to couple with that. So when we go into these grant programs, you're required by the federal government to get environmental engineering on everything that a piece of machinery could potentially touch. We also have to go, and I have to notify a little over 100 Native American reservations all over the country to have them let us know that it's not like a
There's no artifacts
burial
or
ground or
anything.
artifact. So
Gotcha.
if something isn't run in that system with the Texas Historical Commission, we can't touch it. So we try to get the best picture that we can going into this, and so that's why we leave a little bit of contingency that there might be additional drainage, there might be road, but as long as we're able to capture the right area that we're doing it in, we can still do that. We still have that ability to go in and do that in that area.
When will we know when the grant is available?
They're telling us that they think urgent need is gonna open up in November, but
That could be,
it could be December,
Next year?
it could be next week. I mean, honestly, we don't, the way that it works is LMI, they have to fulfill a certain percentage throughout the state in LMI contracts before they can open up urgent need. So the last time we checked with we checked with GLO office, Annie said that the LMI was being very close to being met. It doesn't have to be about 100%, I think it's like 85%, and then when it's met, then they will open up the urgent need. Last time it happened, they told us it was gonna be a year, and it was like 2 months, so, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we stay in constant contact with them, we have to, submit monthly reports and, stay on top of it, and we're ready to go when it does open up, we just don't know. It will definitely be in the next year.
the funds available though that is a set number.
Yes, that's a contract number, 1.2. Yeah. So that number won't change.
so that's a long drawn out way to explain what we have on the list, how we get there, and how we would decide which roads or projects to pursue if you want to go ahead and put that budget money into major road repair on the budget.
So it looks like they're taking care of anything that would, unless this is just kind of funds available in case. This project or grant would take care of drainage, but we have $5,000 listed for that. Is that just for additional repairs, or because we don't have it in the
Yeah,
project?
that's just
It's just additional.
repairs or something that needed to be done. The regular budget line item, you mean,
Yes.
of drainage, that's if something comes up, something needs to be regraded. We had a homeowner come and think they were gonna correct their own ditch, and we had to go back out there and have it done professionally, and things like that come up. So that's what that's for.
In a situation like that, why wouldn't the homeowner be
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
responsible for that?
So
Look, I'm just kind of giving you an example. It doesn't mean you couldn't.
Well, no, if the homeowner messed it up, why wouldn't the homeowner be responsible for actually having it fixed
Kelly, in a lot of,
properly?
in many cases, and it has happened, in many cases, the homeowner has been responsible for it. So again, going back to, we have a great working relationship with Road and Bridge. There was an instance a couple of years ago where that did happen, and it essentially cost the county $33,000. Cost the county $33,000 to repair the homeowner's do-it-yourself project. There have been some instances where, you know, very isolated incidents where maybe we have a contractor that's working and something happens with equipment and we need to make a quick fix with some sort of drainage. I'm giving you a hypothetical situation. That's there for. We have fulfilled the 10-year drainage project that was created in 1997. We completed that with there are very few that were not, and they are being included right here. With this, Wagon was one of the big ones. There's a big one, well, not big, it's probably a medium-sized drainage issue over there off of Wrangler, but there is some TxDOT obligation to that, and we've continually submitted that to TxDOT, and again, it's a waiting game. We're going on year 5, and it has not made their priority list. But let's say we do have a flood and that culvert at 1093 in Wrangler or something happens, we've got that money and drainage that we can go in and hire a contractor to make a quick fix. But we are very regulated on what we can and can't do because that's TxDOT's obligation, not ours. And
So-
on public mowing, I will say that has decreased because the county has taken over some obligation to that and has started spraying versus us hiring a contractor to mow.
So we're needing to make a decision if we want to add money on the road repair major.
And I apologize, I thought before I hit print, I had added that, but I had changed road repair major to 200,000.
Oh, before you print it?
Yes, but I must have hit print before I changed it, so that should say 200,000, or if you want me to keep it 200,000 to, wait,
That would take this working
$225,000.
budget to 269,485 is what you're saying?
Do what?
That would take this budget right here, if we added it to, oh wait.
Yeah.
What page? Sorry, I'm on the
We're
wrong
on
page.
page 10.
Wrong page.
Page 10
It would
is-
take it to 247.5.
So I think the question is on page
If you
1,
leave
consulting
2,500.
Is
for
reduced.
2023 was
Right.
245,000.
And it's just 45.
And it's reduced to 4,500. So we would take 240,000
No.
theoretically and move it, or do we want that to be?
No, we would only take 200, because 200 is what was dedicated for the comprehensive plan. So we would keep the 40.
So it should be 45,000
It says
instead of
4,500 instead of 45,000.
It's just a typo, I think. So
Sorry,
we're
it
just-
is a typo. I'm human, sorry.
You are, we're just getting it.
She's doing it right here, it's not an accurate number, basically, so it would
So you
change
would
it to
take-
247.
Yeah, there's a typo on the very first page. Under consulting, instead of 4,500, it should say 45,000. Courtney, that's where the,
Okay.
if you were hearing me say, the one that's numbered number 5, but it was the first page we worked on, under administration for consulting.
That's the one I asked
It
about.
went from 245 to 4,500.
So we're not able to work off of that 37 cents? Or is
Yes,
that
no,
with the
it's just,
addition?
Oh, no, that is still the
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
it
don't
is.
mean
I
it's
mean,
a-
yeah, there are some, it's not completely balanced because this is just a working session, but we'll get it to where it's completely balanced.
No, she's
So-
just asking if the 37 cents is gonna give that same
Well,
revenue.
no,
Yes,
because like this,
yes.
if you add $200,000 to this, we're way over that 992 instead
Well,
of being below.
so we're just gonna
We're not
move it.
adding additional 200,000, we're just moving it. So we're moving it from consulting to road repair.
But
Right.
it's not on the consulting part, that's what I'm saying.
It is in consulting
that's
for 2023.
Right, right. That was a mistake, like a working, there's a lot of numbers that are just not, like I said from the
Okay.
beginning, this is not it's not balanced yet, it's not in
Okay.
its formal form, this is just a working form. So we're plugging and playing numbers here. And I apologize, that was on consulting, yes, that was.
Well, you said the $45,000 amount. We have said the
Right.
same numbers consistently through this meeting, but we just had a typo, so if that helps anybody remember after the fact. So we would take exactly 200,000 from the consulting line item, which is what we've talked about since last year's budget preparation and approval, and put that on major road repair. Now, one thing to consider is if the council decides you want to stay in or out of flock and join that system, if they're ready to finally come online once TxDOT's, now that we've got the new rules underway, it can be fine where it is, or if you want to take that money and add it to roads so that you have $10,000 more, you could do that. Or you could go with 200 and say this first year of this council, we're going to invest in doing $200,000 worth of roads that are not in the grant. So we're going to continue to pursue that grant money, either way. I'm only pointing that out because that's the only item I wrote down that somebody proposed may or may not continue, so.
This might sound like a weird question, but on your decision, how was the decision made on which roads need to be repaired? Or which drainage?
The engineer.
The engineer.
Engineers
So
made the suggestion?
Yeah, so we started the catalog of all of the roads with how, what the footage was, or, the mileage. Then we created that document based on the price the county gave us for rebuild and then overlay, and then he goes out and drives and prioritizes those. And we can go out and prioritize too, but where I don't feel 100% confident is saying it needs a complete rebuild or an overlay. So that's where he comes into play, and he gets out and he's able to do a better assessment. And also basing it off of, has the drainage already been tackled in this area? Is it something that's on the plan to be tackled, like Wagon? So clearly we've got multiple levels of issues with Wagon. It's been overlaid and overlaid and overlaid, and we've never touched the drainage. And so it is so built up that it's almost created its own internal drainage issues. So, but we weren't able to tackle drainage on the last grant project because it required us cutting and rebuilding the road. And we didn't want to expense that money to do that when we knew that the whole length of Wagon needed to be redone anyways. So we were trying to be the most, efficient with how that project worked.
So you're basically saying they would do both at the same time?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a piggyback project for Wagon, the drainage and the road rebuild. But Craig, like I said, that's not my strong point, is saying what is a rebuild and what's an overlay. That's what we pay Craig the engineer for. And he's very good at that.
I would say it would be smart and still effectively efficient to maybe add the two to your first suggestion, because if you just add 2 of the bottom projects, whatever, I think is what you have in the initial section over here for, well, they're different roads, but okay, you get the point. If you were to add 2 of those, you use your remaining funds, and then you don't have to budget as much more into what's currently budgeted. Does that
So I
make
get
sense?
your point.
Using up your reserves.
I was gonna say, I get your point on that, it does make sense, but we have, I know that there's a total. We have a whole lot more than $200,000 of roads that need to be done that are not on the grant. So if we move those up, we wouldn't have any reserve, which y'all can decide that, but I don't know if that would mean that you would reduce your $200,000 in road repair because you've got millions of dollars of need
Right,
in additional
but
streets.
I'm saying
So would you
do
say
the
then
grant.
add some more?
I'm saying do the grant, pick 2 of these. That does take care of the contingency hold. It does not take care of your what you already have budgeted. You still have $12,000, right?
Well, I guess
$12,500
I'm sorry.
budgeted. That I don't know. Did we spend that money this year?
What?
Because this is working. It says working current was $15,000.
No, we have some of these on a list, but we're honestly, have you heard anything on that, Darren? Have you heard anything on that schedule from Darren? Yeah, we're on the schedule for the county to come out, and at this point, we would assume probably not gonna happen this year.
Well, so there's funds. That's all I'm saying is there are current
Yes,
reserves
it
there.
will roll over. And my thing is I always like to operate on the side of caution when it comes to completely expensing out your contingency hold on the grant funds, because history has proven itself that you almost always use part of your contingency hold, whether it's engineering or something. So I would feel more comfortable if we didn't completely exhaust all that. and leave, I mean, sure, we can obligate part of that 78,000, but not exhaust all of it. But here's, I don't
It's
wanna
kinda
get,
like when you do a home-
6% reserve.
huh?
That's only about a 6% reserve though.
True, I mean,
Major project of
on
that
the
size.
last GLO project, we held a 50% and then waited until, I mean, a 50,000 and then waited till like the last 2 weeks and basically billed our personnel time, for grant administration. So essentially the city got that money back. But the beauty of this is that we don't have to decide these roads right now. What we really need to do is council still in agreement that we're gonna move the 200,000 from the comprehensive plan over to roads. And that's really all we really need to decide. Like Craig
I am
can,
not comfortable with that.
I just want to clarify something.
no, that's fine.
This bottom line is $836,000. You're getting ready to add 240,000, because that's not on here.
Right, and I will go
That's gonna be
through,
well over $1 million.
right, and a lot of this we can go through, that's why I said, like, I don't wanna, and I led with that, is that this budget isn't balanced. There are some things that we can go in and we can move around and we can say, okay, we're gonna cut that, but I need to know what the priorities are. And if the road is a priority, then I'm gonna plug that $200,000, and I'm gonna stand firm on that $200,000 on major road repair, and then I'm gonna make the other adjustments and budget cuts accordingly to whatever council's priorities are. So if, some of the other things that y'all talked about, if I need to know is roads gonna be your priority? Because if it is, I'm gonna plug the 200,000 and I'm gonna lock it. If it's not, then we need to define what those priorities are gonna be.
All of the roads that are being talked about are in Valley Lodge, and I live there, so I know how the roads are. But are there any other roads in Simonton that need attention?
Nails and Ash and Barnes have all been pretty
They've all been
recently
done.
done, so they're in better shape.
All right.
So.
Well, I would say, and you can tell me, you live there, if the roads in Valley Lodge really need some work.
The ones that are listed definitely need it.
Why wouldn't we want to fix it?
Oh, I completely agree that we should.
But are there any
But-
others that?
I mean, that's-
Yeah, that's what I was making sure that we weren't losing,
We're missing
Well, I
something.
mean, as we,
Yeah.
I agree.
that's something I guess prioritize is the word.
I know, out of all the roads in Simonton, Wagon is the problem. So I completely
That would be
agree.
taken care of by the grant, right?
Wagon will be the grant, yes.
Yeah, because
You've
that's
got
part of that,
$1
the
million
replacement,
something
the complete
for that
replacement of
grant,
that one.
1.2.
And the wagon culvert is all part of the grant. So
Yeah,
that
I agree.
one, we don't have to spend any money. We don't have to put any money in the budget for it.
Right.
Is
So
this
the
all
budget-
And I will say
We're not.
that we get lots of complaints about Hondo and Buckboard.
Buckboard is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Buckboard is
and
bad.
Hondo
Hondo
is.
is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
They're practically on gravel.
So-
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So there are lots of them there, and so the goal for the budget is how much money does council want to plan to spend out of this budget for roads? Is it 200,000? Is it 180? Is it 210? Is it whatever that number is? What should it be? And then we won't go ahead and do these projects without additional discussion with council about which roads are planned, when it's gonna happen. There'll be a whole lot of coming back and making sure everybody's in agreement with how we move forward with which ones. But you can see the list of things that need
The
addressing.
ones that are listed here are considered to be the highest priority. Is that?
Correct.
Right, we put the highest priority ones and also the most expensive on this grant application, so that we then hopefully
Well,
it's
she's
not
talking about,
costed.
I think she's talking about the ones that Craig prioritized underneath. but-
Yeah, the one that Craig prioritized are the next in line. And if any of those move up to the larger grant project, then we'll get his help to put the next in line after that.
This is a very selfish question. What is the Fort Bend culvert replacement? Selfish because, only because I live on that street.
Well, it's the culverts under the, it's at the gate, at the
It's-
flood.
it's the floodgates, so-
Those culverts are rusting.
Are rusted
on the
out.
outside.
They're bad.
So we actually have a great fix for that, because to actually go in and completely replace them with the metal culverts that are in there now, they would actually have to tear the road out, tear the landing out, so it's very expensive. So, Craig is Mr. in the know of all things drainage, hydrology. So he has worked with a company that has worked with Willow Fork Drainage District, several others in this area. Willow Fork is just the one that I remember off the top. There's a new product out that is a fascinating product, and they're able to use the metal culverts that are there, and they basically take a machine inside of it and they reseal the culvert
So
with some.
spray cement with
It's
the.
like
glass
a
reinforcement?
something, and so you can utilize what's there, but the key is that it doesn't affect the road, and it doesn't affect the landing, because we have put a substantial amount of money into the landing and those actual gates.
Yeah.
Well, and that's such a big thoroughfare.
It is, it's a big thoroughfare.
Take it
So
out.
that was one of the key things for us, was to put that on there, really to they're functional, I mean, don't get me wrong. But if we have the money and we have the opportunity to use grant funding for it, we would rather do that, because it is, it's an expensive process, and we'd rather be proactive than reactive.
Got it. So what do you need from us? You need
I
us
need
to tell you
know
how much you
how
want
much
on
money
road repair.
does council want to include in the budget for road repair?
I think it makes sense to add about $100,000, maybe 120 to that line item. That would include utilizing your contingency hold, yes, but a grant is a grant for a reason, it's supposed to be used. And then you can accomplish these same roads as well.
Why?
Why?
Why not 200,000?
Because you don't have a reason to hold on to the 78,
But
Okay,
and
but
the project is 196,
So
unless you
if you,
just
so,
want to
okay,
hold it.
think about your own savings account. If you have $5,000 in there, are you willing to deplete it? Or would you always keep a reserve there?
If
I
I
don't
might
work that
offer,
way,
if
but
I
a grant
might
doesn't work that
offer,
way either.
yeah.
If somebody gives you
So-
a grant, you have to spend it on those things that are listed.
Understood.
So the contingency hold, I mean, we can decide to just hold that and then not do these 4 roads, or we could utilize the 78, add 120 to our bottom line, still not go as high as 200, but you can't use that grant money on anything else.
Here's
I'm not
something
saying you would.
I'd like to bring up though, is any major project, which I've ran several of them in multi-million dollars. I've never ran one that did not run over at least 7 to 10%, and we're only holding 6% back.
But we have been consistently since 2019, I think you said is the last time a road work was,
On
you gave us
projects?
that number last time.
No, 21 was the last time we did road work.
And
No,
ha-
but the big ones, where it's like Barnes Road and.
Oh, yes, Barnes Road was at the end of 2018, Ashton Mills was 2019, sorry, not 21, the other ones were 2020, right when COVID started.
So
Yeah, so-
how much of an overrun did we have on any of those? Where they found something that had replaced some kind of overrun?
I have that, hang on, let me see.
She has the
That's
totals,
my
but
concern.
I'm saying all the money that has not been spent
Use
in the
it.
budget, it's
Yes.
still there. So you still have kind of your push fund that hasn't been utilized since 2020.
So if I might offer another piece of that puzzle, I'm sure I'm not saying it clearly, so I'm gonna try one more time. I apologize, I know it's me. Let's say you decide to go ahead and move these 2 pieces from the general up to the grant, so that we're committed for almost every dollar we possibly can and not worry too much about the contingency. Let's say y'all decide to do that. And that only leaves us $120,000 in projects in this list that you're looking at right here. The only reason there are only 4 roads on this list recommended for 23-24 is because we were trying to take the ones that needed the most and that could total $200,000 and put it in front of you. This tells you all the roads that actually need work, and it tells you a 1/4 mile, a 1/3 of a mile, 3/4 of a mile. There are a whole lot more on here that also need work that didn't make the list because we cut it off at 200,000 extra dollars. So if we take 50 or 70,000 worth and move it up to the grant, we could really easily go grab another 70,000 and put that on the list that you're looking for 23-24, and still have plenty of roads that need addressing. So if you if you say 200 is your number, we will make sure that $200,000 worth of roads get repaired, and we're gonna also use every penny of that grant money if we can get it. If that makes sense.
But like Jennifer said a minute ago, you know, they waited until the last 2 weeks before they said, where they saw that they still had some of that contingency money and said, okay, now you can have this to use up that contingency.
Right.
So it's not just gonna sit there.
We didn't let it go back. We added everything we could at that last bid, and they got, you know, a quarter mile here
I'm
and a 10
completely
here.
understanding. I just don't see the need to put $200,000 in that specific spot because it completely changes all of these numbers, all of these numbers, and all of these numbers, and our tax rate.
It actually doesn't.
No.
So $200,000
Hey,
for
Courtney, just
this.
so you understand, I am operating under the not going with the no new revenue rate, the tax rate, the 3.7, the 499, 999. Now, like, I'm not questioning you, I'm just repeating myself. When I said this is not a balanced budget, this is just working, like, that's what I'm going through, like, and honestly, that's kind of what I'm good at, is like, give me your priorities, so I can plug those priority numbers in and I can hold those numbers in, and then I can work with some of the other stuff.
And also, can I just make this comment? Is those 4 roads are only 0.9 miles of road, and there are 16 miles of road in Simonton. So if you're only doing 0.9 miles of road a year, like 16 years to do all the roads. So if you can add a few more under the budget and be balanced, you know, from a sensibility and logical standpoint, that would be what you do so you can maintain those roads. We have never been on a maintenance program in the city for roads, ever. And it would be nice to have a plan in place where y'all are taking care of those roads in a, you know, in a practical and scheduled manner. And I'm just saying that just because I think when you think about the numbers like that.
And keep in mind, like, if you go back and look at like the quarterly financial report I gave y'all, Courtney, you can say, okay, let's put 100,000 in the operating budget for major road repair. But then you can decide that for 23, 24, we're going to do a capital outlay program for major road repair. And we want to move $200,000 from our reserves into the account to cover that. You can do that. I mean, that's what reserves are for. And if you classify it and you work the project as a capital outlay and you get on a program for the next 3 to 4 years, you can make substantial headway doing that. I mean, we have been very fiscally smart to where we have built up the reserves, some of our reserves, and we've done that with the intent of coming in with a capital outlay program to do roads, to do drainage. And we've been very prudent with that over the past couple of years. So, I mean, that is always an option. I don't want to...
How much is that reserve?
I'd have to pull up the last quarterly report, but I mean,
It's in that quarterly report.
Yeah.
It's on the,
that's my only point. The monies haven't been spent, there are reserves. I'm of the opinion, like, we get through this, and I'm also interested to see what the comp plan people say, because that could change a lot of these roads
Sure.
anyway. With TxDOT coming and doing the intersection and adding cameras in other locations and things like that, I am comfortable adding 100,000, but again, it changes this number. When will this
But what
be
Jennifer's
balanced?
saying is that it won't. So if we decide to allocate 200,000 here, that means the attorney's fees will come down to 25,000. And she starts playing with the numbers to make sure that the end number doesn't go up any more than where it is.
Right, I'm saying it will change the ending budget number, which is affected by this kind of thing. So you have a number of money that you have income, right? And that's the only amount of money that you can balance the budget with and spend.
Right.
So that's what we're not working off of that final number. I don't know what that final number is. Is it the 112, 624, 219?
112.
On your income, what's our total income? That's what it shows on the
Okay,
CMT
well, what
sheet.
you're looking at, that's sales tax only. So we have several sources
Oh, I'm
of
sorry.
revenue. So sales tax, we know that at a no new revenue rate and a tax rate of 37 cents, that our sales tax revenue is gonna be $499,999,000.
Right.
So we also have additional income that falls into the category, here I'll tell you.
So you're showing on this working budget, 1,006,162. That does not include the 200,000 or whatever
Are
we
you,
add.
are you
to the-
looking at the revenue sheet or
I'm looking at your,
the
your
summary of the
working budget,
revenue?
your numbers at the
About
bottom
the
down
revenue
here.
summary.
Oh,
that's right.
yeah.
I'm looking at that number right there. Is the 200 that you're asking us to add in this number,
No, it's not, but
Okay.
that number is not, that's why,
those are
those are
preliminary.
placeholders.
Yes, exactly,
They're
exactly.
placeholders. So I'm sitting over here and I'm putting in, okay, y'all, I've made the corrections, like I'm gonna lock, and when I say I lock in, it's just, I'm locking it because that's a priority, like
Are you sure it's not there though? Because look, that number there is 836 to 859. That one is over $1 million.
what is this one?
That's
right here?
the,
That's you're looking at municipal court.
no, it's the totals. It's the same number that Burns was looking at.
Expense totals, yeah.
That's your total
I don't know, because they're out of, what sheet number is that?
12.
And that's
That's
sheet
four.
number
So
4.
this is your budget. This is the number we would want to budget for, right?
Right, but that's a
So
summary,
this
that's a summary sheet, so I'm gonna rerun it, like, if y'all just.
Because that's 200, almost 200,000. It's actually
I'm gonna hold the sign that
$196,000.
says, not budgeted, not balanced, placeholder.
It's actually almost $196,000, so that would
Wait,
make
which
sense.
one are you looking at? I'm sorry.
The summary, your revenue totals, 2024 working is $1,006,162.
Right.
That is the amount of money we need to budget.
Correct.
Okay, well now on the total expenses for the working budget, where we were working on trying to figure out where to put the numbers, that number says $836,859.
So don't forget that we had a typo for $240,000 that we
That's
took
what I'm
out,
getting
but
at.
we didn't put in. So
That's-
that would be in 2024, and then your numbers would be much closer to matching in these two documents. But since it's just working, we're penciling in and making sure that we go back and make the
36.
revisions.
Whoops. There it is. No, backwards.
No, I'm not printing it, I'm just.
It's a difference of $169,303. So is that already in the budget and we just need to tell you to put it there?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Tell me
Answers
what
my
you
question.
want in
We've already got
rows.
$169,000 in there just floating around. So it's a big typo.
No, no, it's not $169,000. The thing is, you're comparing two different kinds of reports. We are working with one that is just, let's make sure, the categories are right. We had the one change that we made for 2024, I'm gonna call it 24, even though it's 23, 24, because we knew that that was dedicated by council last year, $200,000. To the comprehensive plan, that we paid for. We've discussed that that could potentially move to roads. There was a typo, just for tonight, just for the
I
workshop,
understand,
we're
but
moving that.
the income,
But these
the working
don't all
income, that's
match
what
each
I'm
other
looking at.
exactly to the penny yet, because they're still working. So we added $75,000 in attorney's fees, but we didn't figure out where to take that 75 from yet. Jennifer will do that once we know your priorities. So however much we're gonna put in roads. But the goal is for it to not require any more revenue than last year, so that we reduce by 7 cents per hundred the burden on homeowners for the ad valorem portion. And we don't just keep having more and more total budget that would then impact ad valorem, if that makes any sense. So I know you're trying to reconcile, is the 200 already in here or not, or what? It's already in here, but know that you'll see this again at the next budget meeting, and then we'll be comparing, did the changes that we asked for get made in the right departments or categories, and does it balance? So we'll be doing that at the next one. I know it's a lot easier when you can see it, but so this is like, if we had pencil that you could erase and go on, or if we had a big board that we projected, you might.
Well, this one's just,
We don't yet.
it's not confusing, it's very clear. This one shows a 1.31% increase in the budget, which is acceptable, and also inclusive of $169,303 more than what's on the working budget currently. And that total, without the confusion of the
240.
misprints and the 200 and the whatever, is only 836, which shows an 18%, 8.65% decrease.
But that 836
So-
doesn't have that $200,000.
That's what I'm saying. So it's already there. We just
Yeah.
need to put it in the
Right,
right
it's,
bucket.
right, it wasn't calculated on that. And
Okay.
Not in here for this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody just needs to type it in.
Yeah, that's what happens next.
So you were asking like, where are we gonna come up with $200,000? It's already there. They already put it there for us. That's all I was trying to say.
That's right.
Like, it's all there.
Yeah, we did.
Got it.
Our very last page is municipal court. I'm sorry for, I'm like, whoo, that was hard, but I think we got through it, right? Everybody on the same page now? Municipal court costs. We don't typically have lots of cases that need to go to municipal court, but if we do, that's why it's $1,500. We have to pay the attorney, you gotta pay the judge, you gotta do all the things that make municipal court happen, but that's what that line item is about. Or category. Are there any other questions? Comments?
In order to not hold up everybody like forever and all that good stuff, can I just come up and like sit with you to find out what, like, I mean, we got $10,000 worth of subscriptions and I don't know what all that's for.
I mean, you can, but I am part-time.
I know you're part-time and I know you're overloaded already, but I just am curious to find out what is in these buckets.
So we
to know
also
if
need to utilize my time,
Yeah.
because I am part-time. And with these two leaving, there's
So a
quite
bulk of that
the bulk
is our Google storage plan and our Adobe products.
Yeah.
10 grand, wow.
Well, you consider,
Oh, it's the
We've got-
cybersecurity thing.
we've got Julie, we've got the mayor, we've got my computer, Erica's computer, and then we have five additional council emergency management computers. All of those computers have to have a Microsoft license with Adobe on them. And then we've got the Google storage subscriptions. We have Houston Chronicle, we have the Fort Bend Herald, and then our Apple. So that's what subscriptions is.
Oh, okay. I can get that information to you though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
If I might suggest, while we still have Erica here, if anybody, ask Erica for what you need, and she either will have it, or can get it, or if it really would be something that Julie needs to answer, then she'll get it to Julie, so that we can try to use the most efficient use of their time, before it's just Julie and me.
It needs to go in our,
Yeah. And I can bring the whole puncher, it's back there, it's real fast.
So right now, doing the update of adding $200,000, making that correction, $200,000 road repair, we're actually showing a positive.
I think the only noted priorities that I took were moving the money from consulting to roads. Although you said you didn't want to do 200,000, but are we
I
back
think
to
we need to see,
agreeing
we
about
need to see an
200,000?
accurate number of what that was supposed to be, because if it was supposed to be and already in place, then
Yeah.
we really don't have to discuss moving anything, right? It was
Well, we just want it to be in the right category if that's what the
Yeah.
priority of the council is. And I don't mean this to be only asking Courtney, anybody else on council, if there were other items. We briefly talked about Flock. You can always make that decision later whether we're gonna stay with them or not, but, that's a line item that's up for any further comment if there is any. Otherwise, I can take any notes of categories that need changing specifically. I'm not trying to rush anyone while we're calculating or anything else. Julie, did you have anything? Miss Erica, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Jennifer? Okay, so the next thing that happens is that Jennifer will make changes that we've talked about, so we'll have another version ready to go. Our next budget meeting, I did not bring my calendar with me, but it hasn't changed. Our next budget, we'll have instructions. We will hopefully have our certified roll by then, so we know exactly what we're working for. And we'll keep working the calendar process with the county that we've shared with you.
And the tax
That's next Tuesday.
rates, I'm making a huge assumption here, but I'm assuming that these ladies will not be here. How will we receive that information? When it is received, whenever that may be.
The certified roll, you mean?
Yes.
Well, since it was due today, hopefully it'll come in the next 2 weeks, and if it won't, it'll come to the city, and it'll be up to Julie and I to manage that, if we don't have somebody in here temporarily or as a replacement by then.
Just curious. Well, but do I need to call you for that, or you'll just send it out once you get it, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Justin, I'm trying not to rush anybody. All right. Well, thanks everybody for slogging through it line by line. I think we are well on our way to have a completed budget and a reduction in tax rate. We will call that adjourned. 42.
I got it.
Thank you, everybody.